Okay, so we are on time. So we are ready to start the Kontenbase live event in English. Okay. First of all, welcome everybody who is joining us in this moment. Hopefully you are in a good shape. Okay. And then for the agenda for today is that we have a welcome, we have the introduction, we will give some information about the credit balance promo. We are going to do some demo or live coding. Lastly is about the discussion, Q&A, and feedback. And we are also going to announce the best participant announcement, and then we are going to close the event. Okay. So for the schedule itself, the fund duration is 1 hour 30 minutes. But if it extended, then the maximum is about 1 hour 45 minutes. Okay. And for the tips, if you are going to join us for the whole event, so make sure your internet connection is fine or there's a backup. And make sure that the speaker or microphone are working properly. If you are going to ask some questions directly without typing, if you want to speak up, it's also okay. We are also going to we are already recording the event right now, and then we are going to upload the event video as well to YouTube later. Okay, if you have some questions during the event, you can go to slido.com or slide.do, and the code for the question room is Kontenbase-live-1-en or English. Or maybe you can also use your phone to scan this QR code. And when you are asking some question, make sure to include your name. You can ask on Slido, or you can also ask on Zoom. It's autocorrect, but usually it's better to use this Slido to ask the question, because we can vote each other's question as well. So if you're going to use Slido to ask your question, you can go to slide.do or slido.com and then enter the code Kontenbase-live-1-en. Enter the code, and then it will show the question form or the question box, which you can type your question directly, and then you can also put your name in here. Okay, you can use anonymous, it's okay, but it will be better maybe to use your name as well. Okay, you can type your question and then send, and we are going to answer the questions in the end of the event. Okay. So you can also screenshot this screen right now if you are going to ask some question, either using your desktop or your mobile. Okay, and you can still also have some questions in the Zoom chat panel. Okay, if you have some questions after the event, you can go to our Discord server, kontenbase.com/discord. You can go to the channel worldwide if you're going to ask in English, or maybe you want to ask the question in your respected country channel. It's also fine. Okay. Hopefully the community will grow, not only because Kontenbase itself is from Indonesia, but we also hope that this community base will grow beyond Indonesia or beyond Asia even. Okay, so for the introduction, so hopefully you already know what Kontenbase is. Kontenbase is a no-code backend API that is quite fast and easy to use in order to create your backend API, such as specifically REST API, in less than 1 minute without coding. So if you have some experience about creating a backend from scratch, maybe it will take about several minutes or even like several hours, even like more into the deployment. You have to figure out how to deploy your backend, and either using some platform as a service like Heroku, for example, or maybe like using cloud services like Google Cloud or Amazon Web Services. Maybe it's too mundane or take a lot of time of your side in order just to create and deploy your backend API. Then Kontenbase maybe is for you, because by using Kontenbase, you don't have to worry about the development and the deployment of the backend API. You can just start right away to create your REST API without having to think about the development and deployment part. Okay, and then if you are a front-end developer and then you don't have any backend and database experience, for example, you can use Kontenbase to help realize your application to use a real backend and use real database in behind the scene. Okay, but you don't have to worry about that. You can just use it right away. So you can focus on the front end or maybe like solving your business case. Okay, if you have some experience in using Kontenbase, you already know that this is the dashboard, which you can create a project and then create some services. For example, this is an article service, where there are some REST API HTTP methods endpoints already made for you, like the get, post, paste, and delete. And then you can try the API right away in here. For example, you can get the articles and then it will give you the response in array in here. Okay. Okay, and then for the pricing itself, okay, I haven't updated this one to USD. Let me show you the USD instead. Yes. Okay, so Kontenbase itself is free to use without any limitation within the range of this limit. Okay, so if you have like less than 50 users, you can use Kontenbase for free forever. Okay, but in case you have like more than 50 users, or maybe like you need more database space or storage space to store your files like images or videos, you have to upgrade to Hobby for just $5 a month. And compared to like creating your backend from scratch, it will maybe cost more. Maybe you can get the deployment part for free, but you have to take into account about your time into creating the backend itself. Or maybe like you want to focus on the front end, you don't want to deal with the backend, but you still need the backend, then it's a good deal for you. Also, maybe like you have you are in a company, maybe you either have or not have a backend developer, then maybe you need to pay the backend developer itself in monthly basis. But this but in here you don't need to worry about that to pay the backend developer. Although that maybe in some cases backend developers need it in order to integrate Kontenbase with other third-party services, for example. And if you have a quite big company like enterprise level, maybe you need some more support, or maybe like unlimited quota for the backend itself, then you can also contact us to have the enterprise plan. Okay. So currently the milestone of Kontenbase that we have total users of 700 people, more than 700 people, and the total projects of 850 projects. Okay, so quite a milestone because we are still actually in an alpha release, so we are still have a long way to go. And how about the competition? Kontenbase itself is not alone, so there are some competition that you already know. Most probably because there is Firebase, the most popular backend service that acquired by Google. It's one of the biggest. Okay, there are also Supabase, that is an alternative to Firebase that is open source. There's Sano, Fauna, Backendless, and much more. Even like there are some other backend services, no-code backend services, headless CMS that also inside the competition. But basically, it's up to you to decide whether you want to use which of these backend services, right? So because each of these services has their own pros and cons when you are trying to implement the platform into your stack or into your work. Okay, so who are the team members behind Kontenbase? So there are Egar Zia as the CEO and founder, Tia Ginta here is the development team lead, myself, Haidar, is the developer relations lead. There are some others as well, Haris, Aziz, Yosef, Adi, Rizky, Elga, Askia, Afrida, Vanessa, and Aulia. Okay, maybe Egi, want to introduce yourself here?
Right, okay, thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Haidar. Hello everyone, so thank you for joining our first live event. My name is Tri Agi Ginting. You can call me Agi for the short. I am Kontenbase Dev Tech Lead. Basically, I am managing the team to provide best development for Kontenbase features, planning strategies for new upcoming features in Kontenbase, And also maybe in Discord, you might already know me as well. It's the Xnival. I'm collecting the feedbacks in GitHub as well and Discord for content-based upcoming development. Maybe that's the introduction for myself, Mas Haidar.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's also one of the team members here, Vanessa. Do you want to introduce yourself? Is it still Sugeng or the Vanessa? But I think I have Vanessa.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, this is me.
Oh, it's
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the occasion. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me introduce myself. I am Fabiola Vanessa. I'm SQA or tester in Kontenbase, and the duty that I have to do is make sure the application and every features are working well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So next up, how about you? If you want to introduce yourself, you can raise your hand or you can put your introduction in the chat panel. Okay. And then we also want to inform you about the promo. How about the promo credit balance that we already informed in the event? So you can get a credit balance of $21 for each best participant. Okay. So this chance is for a maximum of 3 people who ask with cool product ideas to make, or maybe like you have some certain questions that is interesting to discuss. The questions and ideas can be submitted directly in the event session on Zoom. You can speak up directly, or you can also ask on Slido here, or maybe you can use the Zoom chat panel. Okay. And then for the winners are decided subjectively by the content-based team. Sorry, this is a typo. It should be K, not C, okay? Content-based team. And maybe it's not 3 people, maybe it's less than 3 people. And to grant the credit, the process itself that we'll contact them or contact you again through email via Luma event or Discord. And make sure if you want to redeem the credit balance, if you want to get your balance top up, then you need to already have a content-based account or registered email, the same as you are registered in this event. If someone has not redeemed for 1 week or 7 days, it will be given to the next participant. Okay. So without further ado, let's get to the demo. So for the demo itself, we are going to create a simplified version of Twitter or Medium app. Basically, it's combined version of Medium, the blog application, and Twitter, the social media application, using Kontenbase and React.js, specifically using Remix full stack app framework. If you have experience in React, this is a good chance for you to see how Kontenbase well integrated into the front-end stack like React. If you are from different backgrounds like Vue.js, Solid.js, Svelte.js, or maybe like other languages such as Java, Golang, PHP, this is also a good chance to see how we are doing the backend and front integration using React and specifically Remix. Okay, and there are some links as well if you want to either follow along or just want to check out while we are doing the demo. You can already know that our website is on contentbase.com and the dashboard is at contentbase.com. You can check out our YouTube channel as well, contentbase.com/YouTube, or maybe like our GitHub on github.com/contentbase or contentbase team. Basically, the circle itself already published in here in contentbase team account, okay, /Medit. So basically, Medit is a combination between Medium and Twitter, Medit or Medit, okay, and then it will also be available in our GitHub organization account as well. So basically, we also can fork the repo right away right now, actually. Okay, basically the same code just being forked to the GitHub content-based organization account. Okay, so you can always check the code right away. Okay, so let's get to the demo. So let me show you the final result. So Medit, like Medium and Twitter combined, okay, basically you can see all of the posts in the home. Okay, this is a very simple implementation. Okay, so no need to be very complex. Basically, we can see the list or the collection of the posts, and then we can click one of them, and then we can see one of the article or the post, okay, that has a title, who posted the post, and then the date itself, and then the content itself. Okay, you can also check the others. Okay, just like that. Then we can also try to log in. I have the admin account in here. You have to try to log in. Okay, then the navbar already changed to log on a new post. We can, if we have an existing post, we can also delete the post. Okay, hopefully it works. Okay, it works. And then we can log out, but let's try new post. This new post will be created by the admin. Okay, so this is a new post by admin. For example, you can put text in here. Okay, basically in Twitter, you can only have the content without any title. In the Medium, you can have title and content and bunch of words, unlimited number of words. But in here, we are limited. Actually, we are limiting the text to be like Twitter tweet, which is 280 characters. Okay, so this is a for demo. But basically, this is the basic functionality. And then we can go back to the home page. There you have it. And then we can also log out. Okay, nice. So we cannot delete if we are not authenticated. Okay, so that's the basic functionality. So I already prepared the repo. I already cloned the repo. I'm in the branch demo here. I already opened the source code here on VS Code. Let's check the most important part in any open source repository, which is the README. So Medium is Medium and Twitter combined. Okay, there is a typo here. So you have the links in here, Kontenbase and Remix. If in case you want to learn about Remix, and then you can also check how to integrate Tailwind CSS Remix, because we are using Tailwind CSS as the styling solution. Okay, and then you can also check my my example repository in order to create a remix project with Tailwind in one of the a complete example here. So what we have here is very simple, but if you need more inspiration about how to manage your components, mostly on front end, you can also check Rewinds. Okay, and what are the features? What's implemented is already being shown earlier. So we have the home with collection of posts. We can link to go to the post, view single post in the page. We have the authentication for register, login, logout, and permission of ownership or authorization, which we can delete our own post. We can create a new post. Okay, we can also delete the own post. But we are not going to implement the profile page on complete slide like user handle / post line, because this is just a very simple demo. Okay, for the tech stack itself, we have React as the front end and Remix as the full stack framework. We have server-side rendering in Remix. This is very similar with Next.js, basically. If you have familiarity with Next.js or Gatsby, for example. And then we also have Recruiter already included in Remix. Basically, Remix and Recruiter are actually the same. And obviously, we have HTML and CSS and JavaScript and TypeScript for the whole front-end stack. And for the styling itself, we have Tailwind CSS. Okay, and then because Tailwind CSS doesn't actually provide us with the pre-made components, I'm using Fetcha UI for the React components. And for the deployment itself, we are using Forsal. You can free to use any deployment platform as you wish. And for the extra configuration, we have Prettier, ESLint, and Cloudflare DNS in order to deploy and have this in the subdomain of this medi.kontenbase.com. Okay, and for the complete guide, actually I already written the whole thing. Here are the step-by-step guide, develop this app. And prior to this, I made a very similar tutorial. It's called Reader, a simple Twitter clone. It's in here, reader.kontenbase.com. But basically, it's just a Twitter clone that has a very similar interface here. Okay. So if we try to sign in again, this Reader, by the way, then return sign in. Let's see, it's going to, okay. So you have the home timeline, basically very similar. Okay, just in but just in here you have only the content, but you don't have the title. Okay, and this is very similar with Twitter UI, but in here it's like a combined simple version of both Medium and Twitter. Okay, just for this simple demo. Okay. Okay, first of all, before creating our front-end app, we have to set up our backend API with Kontenbase. So we are going to check the app kontenbase.com. Go to the dashboard. I already prepared everything actually. So we already signed in and set up a new Kontenbase project. The project itself is called Lead. And you need to know how to get the API URL and the API key. So you can go to the settings here. You can check there's the API URL in here, and then you can check there's the API key as well. Okay, so that will be configured in here later. Okay, but at least you know that you can guess the API URL and the API key in order to access this backend. And then we need to create a new private post service, and we have to customize the fields. I already prepared that as well. Here is the post service, and then we can customize the fields in here. Okay, for example, we need the title, we need content, basically anything that you need to come up with for the service. Okay, you can also edit and rename if you don't like it in the middle of the development. Okay, you can also put some more metadata like created at, updated at, created by, and updated by as well. Okay, which we can also done in here. And for the user service, we can also customize it. Okay, if we click customize the users, basically there are some built-in fields that are locked, but you cannot modify. But you can always put some more fields in here. For example, each user has some posts, and the post itself is owned by one user. For the users, we need to have the created at and created by fields as well. We can also do that. Okay, now let's try to register a new user. So actually, currently, I already have the users. Okay, and then the first user will be always an admin. So let's try to create a new user. Okay, for example, Vanessa. Okay, Vanessa. What's Vanessa? Okay. Okay, let's try to create a new user. Okay, or register a new user. There you have it. You can also try to log in here. Okay, and okay, done. So everything works. And then we can also, after we register and try to log in, how about creating a new post with that user? We can create a record here. We can select the existing authenticated user. For example, we have the admin, we have a regular user, we have Vanessa, for example, here. And then for the title, let's just name this post by Vanessa. Okay, and then just some bunch of text, and then send. So there you have it. You can create a new post or have a post request to the post just using this try API dashboard. And then let's try to get the post. Okay. So there you have it. You have the post already listed in the records. Okay. So we get all posts, and how about get one post by ID? So we can check one of the posts. Okay, here, and then get record by ID. But basically, since this should be public, then actually we can still authenticate as public without any logged in, and then get the post by ID, and then there you have it. You have the response object. Okay, and how about delete one post by ID? Obviously, the owner of the post is the one who can only delete the post. So if we get this, all of this, okay, and we need to delete. Of course, public shouldn't be able to delete the post, this post by ID, okay, unauthorized. But if we authenticate as Vanessa, for example, and delete by ID, then when we send, then should be like this, okay. But when we try to get again, get all the posts, it should be gone, okay. Actually, we can also check in here because it's being connected with the same API key and API URL, okay. There should be no post by Vanessa in here, okay. But if we try to create again, post by Vanessa, just to, we forgot to check whether this is real or not, okay. Then send, there you have it, and then refresh. Okay, you have it, okay. This is the post by Vanessa, okay. Basically, you can experiment with the API in the dashboard without having to touch the front end before, okay, before you are doing any front end at all. Okay, and then this one post by ID is done. And how about using the SDK or the REST API? You have the documentation in here. Okay, it's on the Kontenbase. There's the welcome, the quick loop, getting started, the data types. Okay, so many data types are already supported by Kontenbase. You have the SDK. Maybe some of you like to use an SDK. Maybe some of you don't like an SDK. Maybe you really want to just use the REST API directly. Then it's fine. You can use the SDK by installing this package from npm if you are using JavaScript or TypeScript or Node.js. For the other SDK are still ongoing, like PHP and Golang. They are still ongoing, but currently we only have one because Kontenbase is still in alpha. And for the user itself, you can use, if you are using JavaScript, you can use the ES module import or common just import like this, either import from or require. Okay. Okay. So that's the gist of how to create a backend with Kontenbase. Actually, quite simple. Okay. We don't need to go into more details yet, like storage and real time, because the event limitation. But if you need to have some suggestion about that, maybe we can do that in the next event. And for the development remix, finally, we are going to implement the front end. So if you are familiar with front-end frameworks like React, Vue, Solid, and Svelte, you can generate the application using npx, for example. And in this case, this is npx create remix. Okay, I already generated the app in here, and then I also already initialized the Git repo so we can track the changes, and then create the Git repo and push the repo. Basically, this was already done in the github.com/contenbase-team and /medit. So already generated, already pushed, okay, to GitHub. And then we need to set up the env. And the env example, this is just a convention, one of the convention. It's up to you how you are going to manage your environment variables, but at least we need at least two: session secret and API key. In here, for the env, that is being ignored because you don't want to commit this into your Git repo. The session secret is being defined in here for the local development environment, and the Kontenbase API key is basically what we already have in here, right? In the app Kontenbase, check the settings. Okay, check the settings here. Okay, so I have the API key. It's up to you as well. Either you want to put the API URL in the environment variable configuration, or maybe you want to hard code the API URL because it's still very simple in here. Okay, it's up to you whether you want to configure it yourself, like what kind of strategy you want to configure the env. And with this configuration, usually you have the env example, which is a blank environment variables like this, which can be committed into Git. Okay. Finally, we have the package JSON. You can customize the name, the description, and everything else, including the scripts. Okay. And make sure after you set up everything, you already install the dependencies by using npm install if you are using JavaScript and Node.js. And then you can finally run the development server like this. Okay. Basically, this is very similar with what Next.js have. And usually like in React, create React app and Fit.js, for example. Okay, in here we compile the Tailwind or the CSS styles. Okay, then we run the development server. Okay, let's check the local 3000 for now. Okay, there you have it. Okay, basically this is connected with the production because we don't differentiate between the development and staging and production for now. But in case you want to differentiate them, then you need to create more projects separately. Like for example, this one will be the development, there's another with the staging, there's another with the production. Currently, we don't support the the different environments within one project yet, but maybe will be supported in the future. But currently, we are using the same project for development and staging and server, and development, staging, and production for the same project. Okay. Okay, nice. So this already login or authenticated as well. We can log out and then we can still access the same data. Okay. We already check the application running. We already checked the local 3000. Okay. Then we need to install some more app dependencies. If you need to have the SDK, you can install Kontenbase SDK. Maybe you need to format the date, the day. You need to have some calculation for the date. Then you can use day.js or .fns. You need to validate the data. You can use invariant. You need to have authentication and authorization. You can use remix out and remix out form. In case you are using remix. In Next.js, there should be next out that can help you with the authentication and authorization. In the plain Node.js word itself, there is passport.js, if you already know, in order to implement the authentication and authorization service. Okay, and then you also need to install some development dependencies. If you are using invariant, if you are using TypeScript, then you need to install the types definition as well, and then you probably need Prettier in order to format the code. Okay, and setup ESLint should be already done by Remix by creating a Remix app. Usually you already have this default ESLint config. Maybe not with Next.js or create React app. Okay, and then set up the Prettier config. Basically, this is the default config that Prettier has. Okay. In order to make this even better, you can also use custom favicons. Currently, we don't have custom favicon. This is just a Remix logo in here as the favicon. Okay, and if you are generating a new Remix app and then you choose for sale for the deployment target, then you should be able to see this API folder with the index.js. You shouldn't edit this file anyway, but it's just there in order to make this deployable to for sale, because this is using Remix. In case you are using Next.js, obviously you don't need this kind of configuration because usually it's being handled by the platform itself. But since Remix is still very new, early this year, just open source, then usually the platform target need to be configured by us, not by them. Okay, then we can start from the very simple code of the types. So we need the types in here. Okay, already provide the post and user. So basically what we already have in the service, okay, we have the user and the post. Because we are going to need those data, then we can also set up the type. Currently, we don't support the type generation from Kontenbase yet, but maybe it's for the future. But we can do it manually for each post. If you check when you get the record, you see that the ID is using underscore ID, and then you have the content, created at, created by, the title, and everything else. Similar like this. Okay. And for the created by, because it's an user object, the creator or the owner of the post, then you can also create the type for the user with ID, first name, last name, full name is optional. Maybe you want to combine the first name and last name within one field, which is called full name. And then usually with the user, you have the email, and then you have the token. And other things are for the date time manipulation. Okay, next up for the components that we prepare. So we have the link button. So in order to create this kind of thing, this is not just a button, but this is the link button, which it looks like a button. And then when you click, you go to another page. That's a link, right? And that's using remix link, similar to React Router DOM link, or in Next.js, it's called next link. Okay. But in here, we customize it to use Tailwind classes. So it will look like as a button. Okay, and you have also the navigation bar, which is combine the link button in like this. You have the home link, you have the login and register button link. If you don't have the user authenticated yet, but if you are authenticated, then it will show you the logout and the new post. All right. Okay. And for the utilities folder, actually the post utilities are not being used right now, but the user, in order to get the user full name, we can have this function in order to combine the first name and last name, or maybe just the first name or the last name, or maybe not both, and then you have no name. And then the libs. So we have several libraries, but the most important thing is Kontenbase SDK. So in here, actually, instead of using the Kontenbase SDK alone, we decided to use a Kontenbase API just to compare it side by side. And also because currently Kontenbase SDK only support client-side process right now, because the current Kontenbase SDK implementation only support like window local storage, but you cannot access local storage in the server. That's why if you are using a full stack framework like Next.js or Remix, you need to have the REST API endpoint as well in order to maybe like create something or delete something or update something. Then you need to have a custom header or custom parameters. Then you need to have the API URL as well, not only the SDK. But in case you only use like client-side React app, or maybe like feed or feed or Svelte or Vue, maybe you only need the Kontenbase SDK. You don't need the API URL at all. Okay, and this is only happen in the server because we need the process env. Okay, we already set up the env in the beginning, and we get the process env, and this only able to be done in the server, not in the client. If you need to go to have the process env, that's why in Remix the configuration is that you can name the file like this, like kontenbase.server. Then it will be only able to be accessed in the server, not in the client side. Okay, because in the Remix application, the configuration itself, usually when you have like third-party integration, usually you have to do the third-party call in the server side instead of the client side. Okay, that's basically the common practice in Remix app. But in Next.js, usually it's up to you. Or even more, like in the client-side React application, you might need to access the env like using like React app, Kontenbase API key, and then you just need the Kontenbase SDK right away without having to use this process env. Okay, the Kontenbase library is already done. In here, actually, we have CLSS to combine the class names. If you are using Tailwind, usually you know what this is about. But if you don't use Tailwind, you have custom solution. Usually you don't need this. And there are some other things, DJS, to get the complete date and time, so we can have this very nice date time format in here. Okay, so it will look nice to read. And the data evidence, actually, this is being used in order to calculate how long the cookie session will expire. Okay, because in here we are using cookie session cookie in order to store the authenticated user data. Okay, then the services, because we are using Remix out service or Remix out package, we have two things. We set up the session storage. In Remix, this is called create cookie session storage. In Next.js, I don't know exactly yet, but usually, because this is usually happens only in the backend and only in the server side. Usually, you don't have this kind of thing in regular client-side Remix, client-side React app. Usually, you only have this like in Next.js, Gatsby, and Remix when you have access to the server side server-side settings like this. Okay, and then we set up the configuration, how long this will valid or when to expire. Okay, and for the out server, if you have some experience with the out service, usually this is similar. You have authenticator object, which you can combine the session storage into this one, and then you have the in this case you have a very simple strategy, which is form strategy. You don't need OAuth in here, you just need the form. Usually you need email and password, right, in the form. And if the method is logged in, then you can get the email and password, and then you can validate the data. Then in here, it's up to you whether you want to use the REST API or maybe the SDK again. So in here, we are doing the Kontenbase login using the SDK. Then we can get three of this stuff: the user, the token, and the error. If there's an error, if there's no user, if there's no token, of course you will return an error. If you have the user, then you can return the user and along with the token. If the method itself is not login, it is a register, then you can get the first name and last name and validate all the things. You can pass the first name and last name and email and password into the register SDK function here, SDK method. Okay, same as before. If there's an error, just return the error, and then if it's fine, then you have the user object and the token. Okay, and this is the strategy name actually. All right, so we have implemented the login and register combination with Kontenbase and manual HTTP request. If you really want to have some custom patch in the middle, well, you can, if just in case if you are doing it in the server side, then maybe you need to combine between SDK and manual HTTP request. Okay, and then for the styling, in here we are using Tailwind, but in case you don't, then you don't need this. Okay, it's a Tailwind config which reads every React components, and then we can also customize that we need a typography plugin and font plugin in order to make it pretty right away. For example, in here, this is pretty nice by default. If you don't use Tailwind, you can use like Material UI or Chakra UI in order to style your app. Okay. Okay, and then there's also the themes config here actually, because we are using Fetcha UI. We can customize the light mode and dark mode in here. Okay. Okay, and then the root file. Here, this is similar. If you are using something like Material UI, usually you have this kind of UI provider in order to have the theme applied to your app. Okay, you can also put the navigation bar in here. Basically, this is like the index component, like in regular React app. Okay, which you can put the navigation bar, or maybe like you want to put the footer, and you have this outlet. This basically where the root will be rendered. Okay, this is only happens in like the latest React Router versions, not for the old React Router. Okay, and then it here. Okay, I already set up the style sheet, the styling, and then the fonts, and then the metadata. So I have the title and description, and here in order to use the out service, you have it in the loader. In Remix, there's a loader. In Next.js, it's called get server side props. In Remix, you use hook to get the data from the server side, but in Next.js, you have props to get the data from the server side. Basically, similar principle. Okay, if you don't use Next.js and Remix, then you can do all of these things within the client side without having to deal with the server side. But this is usually the safest way in order to handle the authentication authorization, because this will not expose the API key and the session secret in the browser. Okay, this only happens in the server side. Okay, if this is basically checking if you are authenticated, if you have the user data, then you can get the user data, and then you can put the user data in the navigation bar which will check if you are not authenticated, you don't have the logout and the new post. If you are authenticated like this, okay, let's try to authenticate with the admin. Okay, if you have the user, you can log out, you can create a new post. Okay, in case you are not authenticated, if you go to the new basically new route to create a new post, but you're not authenticated, you will be redirected to login. Okay. So that's the root file of Remix, and you have the entry client. Basically, this is like handling the client side part, like React DOM. Okay, and then you also have the entry server, which will render the React component server side. Okay, and you can customize it as you wish in here. Okay, you see that this is React DOM server, not just regular React DOM. Okay, in Next.js, usually you cannot do the complete configuration in this part. Okay, or maybe you can, but maybe not too explicit. Okay, and then for the final assembly, you have the roots. Okay, so the roots for the home page or the index is like this. So basically, what we see in here is the roots, the index root. Okay, you should able to render or display all of the posts in here. Okay, for all of this. Okay, basically in here, we are using the Kontenbase SDK again. It's called Kontenbase server because we need to make sure that this only happens in the server side. Kontenbase server, service post, we find all the posts. We can also try to get the user if you want. Then we can return the data from the server side to the client side again for the post. Okay, we get it in the client side. Okay, and then we try to, if we have the post, then we can try to map over the post. So we have the link, you have the div, and then you have the title, and then the information about who's creating the post, and then when it's being created. Okay, so you have this, right? Okay, so I have the title, you have the owner, and the date and time. Okay, and then if you click, because this is using a link, you go to the post ID. So if you click once to the post, you go to the post ID in here. All right. Next up is the register. This is one of the most complicated part because this is using like authentication authorization. Although that is already being simplified because we are using like Remix out package, so you don't need a lot of code in order to do this. Basically, in the register, we have the action function. This is not similar in Next.js. In Next.js, usually you have the action within the client side, I believe. But in Remix, you can have the action within the server side, so you don't expose the credential or the sensitive information. So in the register, we hope that we want to, let's try to log out first. We want to have the data from the form, register, and we pass it into the authenticator. If we success, we don't need to go to the login though. We can go to the home page, but we are authenticated. But if we are not authenticated or fail to authenticate, then we go back or just reload the register page. Then if we somehow already authenticated, then we should be redirected to the home page. This is because we are not authenticated. But if we try to log in, we are authenticated, then we try to register when we are authenticated, then we should be redirected. Okay, so we don't see the registration form again. Okay, that's why we redirect if we are success or we are already authenticated. In the register root, we have the form. This is what unique with Remix. You have the form component from Remix. Actually, very similar with the old school form that was already provided from the beginning of the web. And then you can have the method pass in here, like post method, and then the action basically itself, the slash register. And this is an alt trick to pass in the method of what you want to do with this form. And you have the input type hidden, and then the method, and then the value. So therefore, we can check again in the out server. Actually, it's being handled in here. So you can get the form method. For example, your intention is to log in, then you go to the login logic. If you are trying to register, then you get go to the registration logic. So that's what it does. And for the rest of the form, it's basically very basic, like a label and input. Okay. And then finally, you have the button, the tab submit, and then you can have the loading. And in Remix, you have the transition in order when you are submitting, or maybe you have the loading state. Okay. Maybe you are already being used to create a React hook form, for example, or like Formic, basically similar stuff. But in this case, you don't need to have the client side loading. You just pass the data from the form directly into the server side. Okay. And then if some case happen like you have a very slow network connection, you can always sure that the submit will be success, because what's special about Remix and the form is that this actually doesn't require JavaScript. So in case your JavaScript is slow and maybe you have a very slow connection, you are in the Go, then the form submit should still be able to submit the data without having to wait for the JavaScript to load completely. If you are using like React form or Formic, you need to wait for the JavaScript to load completely, then you can finally submit. Okay. So that's what we have in the register, and the login itself very similar. Okay, but you only have like email, password, and then you have the login button here. And then, okay, so this is so if we try logout and then login, so we have the email and password only. You submit, then you get when it is successful now. Okay, the login and the logout. For the logout, we already done the logout before. The logout, basically behind the scene, it's just using the logout method from the authenticator, and then you just redirect to the home page again if you're logout. Basically, this will clear up the session cookie. So in case you have some experience with the authentication using local storage, you want to clear the local storage. But in this case, because this is using cookie, then you need to clear the cookie inside the server as well. Okay. And this is very similar. If you are not authenticated, then you have to be redirected because you cannot log out from anyone, right? Right. And then for the new, so for the logic of the, if we already authenticated here, okay, then we want to create a new post, okay, and the title and the content, this is the logic, by the way. So we handle a lot of things here actually. So we need to make sure that we already authenticated. We have the user. We set up the headers. This is when you are doing it manually using REST API, not using SDK. Okay, you have to prepare the authorization header and the bearer token. In this case, we have the token already provided. Okay, so we configure the headers. We set up the we get the values from the form, which is title and content. We need the title and content from the form. Okay, and then we try to use a fetch. Okay, it's up to you whether you want to use Axios or not, but basically this is just using a regular fetch, and then you fetch to the Kontenbase API URL/post because that's the endpoint. You pass the headers. You have the method of post because you want to create a new one, and then the body will be stringified for the title and content object. If it's successful, you get the data, then you'll be redirected. So in case in here, you create a post, it will be redirected, right? Just like that, okay? Very simple, and you see there's no loading at all because Remix is using like a very standard browser stuff, basically. So, and most of the functionalities are happening in the server side, so you don't need loading at all. You don't need loading spinner at all, okay? Okay. And in case if you're not authenticated, of course, you will be ready to log in. Okay. So in case you want to have to create a new post, but you haven't authenticated, then you will be shown the login form again. Okay. For the new page, basically create a new post page. You have the title, label input, and the content label input, and the submit. Pretty similar. All right. So, and then finally, the post ID, the post page. You have this post page, right? Okay. And in here, it's being named as post ID, $post ID. So in SJS, it's using like square brackets. In like regular React app or Solid or Svelte or Vue, you can configure it as you wish with the router solution. Okay, and in this case, we don't have any action actually. We read the post, and my intention in here is that we can implement the delete post. Basically, in the production, you have the delete post, right? But in here, I disable it. I remove the delete functionality. Okay, then we can try to how to implement it, connecting it to the Kontenbase API. Okay, so basically we can skip this part first. But in here, we get the data, we get the post using Kontenbase SDK to get the post by ID like this. Okay, if we have the post, then we can get the post information like this. But if we get the post by ID but wrong ID, then it should be showing sorry, post not found. Okay, and the component itself is pretty simple. If you have the post, if you are no error, you can have the title, the creator of the post, and the content itself. Okay, and if you have an error, there will be post not found error. All right, and finally, if you are satisfied already with the application, you can always deploy it. Or maybe you already deploy it in the beginning, then just keep committing and pushing until it's fine on the deployed application. Okay, how about to implement the delete on post? So in here, we don't have. This is the local version. So we go back. So we want to delete this, right? So in Remix, we can use a regular form like similar like before, even though that will be just a button to delete. But Remix, because it use form for everything, then we use a form. And because we need to make sure that this is owned by the same one who is creating the post, then we need to check about the is owned. So basically, this is the owner, and then let me check the cheat sheet. Basically, if this is correct, this is the owner of the post. We are authenticated as the owner of the post. Then we can have the form, okay, and then the method is post, and then we have the input tab hidden trick as again to define the method, and the value is delete. The method is delete. And then we have the button to submit. The button, basically this is the delete post button. Delete button, delete post. Okay, and then this is type submit. And then we have basically the styling from Tailwind and Visa UI to make it look good. And this will be pretty small. Okay, you have the loading transition as well. If basically we'll show the loading spinner inside the button if it is still submitting. And we can also change the text of the button using this logic text. And we set up the transition state if it is still submitting. Okay, then it should be still deleting. Okay, there are some chats. Okay, we'll answer some questions in the end of the event. Okay, and then the transition state is loading. And if it is done, then it should be deleted. If it's not any of those, then we show the delete. Okay, although maybe it will be replaced by this one. Okay, let's see. Okay, so you have this form. Okay, but of course, if you click it, it will not doing anything yet because we haven't handled the action yet for this form or the delete post button. Okay, so we go back to this action. Okay, so here, in order to delete, we have to make sure about two steps. We have to make sure about this post ID is legit. So we have this post ID. We can still find the post inside the backend. Okay, we get the data. Okay, and if it's owned by us, and we just if we are authorized to delete that. Okay, and if the method is delete, so let's check if the method is delete. Let me check again. If the method is delete, so basically you get the method from the form. Oops. If it is truly delete, we check both if it's owned by us, if we are authorized, and if the method for the form is delete. So there's a typo here. If on delete, okay, then we do something. We set up the URL because we are not using the SDK, rather than we are using the REST API endpoint directly. Okay. Content-based API URL. We already set up it before, and then it should be in the post. And we have the post by ID. I already prepared this post ID from the parameters. ID. So we need to delete by ID, right? Delete the post by ID. Then we have the fetch function, fetch call. So we get the response. Oh yeah, need to await fetch. Press the URL. You press the header as well. You need to be authorized in order to delete. And the method is delete. It's the actual delete method that you need to pass in order to have the fetch. Okay, and then usually because when you are deleting, you don't need the data. Then you can just wait for the response JSON to finish response JSON. Okay. Then finally, if the delete is successful, then we want to redirect to the home page or the index again. You can still pass the headers as well. Okay. Nice. Okay, let's try to delete. To actually delete this hello world, this is the first. No, not this one. Maybe this Kalska something. Okay, we don't want this. We want to delete. Deleting. Go back to the home page and oh, it's still there. Why? Let's try again.
I think there's a typo in line
Typo.
45.
45 euros.
Double dollars.
Oh yeah, double dollar sign. Very small typo. You can still point out. Okay, that's scary because that's too hidden. Okay, let's try to delete again. Kalska is gone. Nice. Okay, so finally we can delete. There's another post here. This is a new post by admin because we are the admin, and or maybe because we are the owner of this post, we can see the delete post button, and then we can click the delete. Then it will be deleted. But for the post by Vanessa earlier, we cannot delete this. Okay, or even though that we are an admin, because how we implement the front end is up to us. Maybe you want to have the admin to be able to delete all of the stuff from the users, is up to you. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, then log out. Okay, finally finished. About less than 1 hour of live coding. Basically we cover everything. All of course, although that we don't really create this from scratch. Most of the code already done because we have limited time, but you get the idea, and you can explore the code right away on GitHub. Right, nice. Okay. And then we have some questions already. Nice. Okay, so the demo is done. That's quite that's quite a packed demo actually. Okay, finally we have the discussion and Q&A and feedback session. Okay, you can directly speak on Zoom or type on Slido. Just to remind you, you can use this Kontenbase Live 1 EN code in order to type your question, or maybe you want to scan this QR to ask the question. And make sure to include your name if you want to be replied, or maybe like you want the promo. Maybe you want to claim that you are the one who asked the question. Then maybe we can consider you for the credit balance promo. But since they are anonymous here, actually you need to have this edited. I don't know if you can still edit what you already posted, but this will help in order to get this promo balance. Otherwise, we don't know who this is. Okay.
Right.
But the first question is that actually this is for me. What's the advantage of using Kontenbase stuff for creating your own backend from scratch? Basically, because it's faster, right? So remember that you don't need to deal with the backend development and deployment. You just need to focus on the front end part. If we have to deal with this part like from scratch, even like with other solution, usually you still have to deploy it yourself. For example, I forgot to mention Strapi. Strapi is very powerful, but currently you don't have the the cloud hosted version. The cloud hosted. Yeah, you need to self host it yourself. The cloud version is not ready yet. Still coming soon, and after 2 years. And then you still need to handle the deployment by yourself.
Yes.
Or maybe like some solutions are too complex. Okay, so basically it's a mix and match between what you can see fit to build your application. Okay, but in case you are still getting started and you only knew REST API, this is actually a good fit. But in case you need GraphQL, well, Kontenbase doesn't support GraphQL yet, maybe in the future. Okay. All right. So this is finished, and actually, I don't know if we. Oh, this is because I'm. Oh, I know. Actually, we can log in as admin in order to moderate these questions. Okay. So we know what's the question already answered. Okay, this is the English. Okay, this is done, so I can mark this done. Can we write a custom function for an API in Kontenbase? Agi, do you want to answer that?
Yes, maybe I think I can answer this question. Can we write a custom function for an API in Kontenbase? Well, as you can see, we are still in alpha phase for Kontenbase and still cover some basic stuffs to, well, exactly the point of Kontenbase is creating your REST API under 1 minute. So we are thinking about implementing the custom function, but in the current state, it's still impossible. And we heard some feedback about this feature. So we are planning to add this feature in next phase, maybe in beta or public release. So for you that want to create a custom function, maybe there's some alternative. Maybe you can create your own backend and deploy it to cloud, or maybe you can use some serverless function that already provided by other platform, but in Kontenbase itself is still under development. And maybe we can contact you soon in Discord or blog in Kontenbase webpage and Twitter. Either it's already done and you can try it right in Kontenbase. But in this and instead, it's still impossible to create a custom function in Kontenbase alpha. Maybe that's the answer, Mas Edgar.
Yeah, and for at the moment, if you need to have the custom function at the moment because Kontenbase is still an alpha, you might need to write it yourself, and then you have to deploy it somewhere. Usually, in my case, in some other projects I handle, I have the API written from scratch manually using Node.js and Express, and then I just deploy it to Railway app. Okay, it's one of the easiest way to deploy your custom backend. So
That's
and then
right.
I just need to connect it to Kontenbase to handle the common REST API functionalities and the storage and the authentication and authorization. But in order to integrate to third-party API or custom function, maybe you also need like the background process. Then you need to have it manually by yourself for now. Then you can deploy it like in here. This is like similar to Heroku, but this is nicer. Okay. Right. So it's nice. Although that this is Animus, thank you, Animus. Is done. I did try the paginate option in the get API, but I do see the pagination related info in the response, like total record is next through
Okay.
from Arsalan. Okay. So if you check the let's check it out. So in here, wait, I need to reorder some stuff. Where is it? Paginate option in the get API. Here, right? So let's see.
That's right.
Go get. In here, wait. Let's check the production.
Hi, I'm here. So
Oh yeah, you have the four. Okay, so you have like 4 items. You need to paginate to limit like 2, and then you just skip 2, for example. You said that I did paginate, I don't see the pagination related info in the response like total records. Okay, let's see. Also, kind of forgot about this. Yeah, there is none, right? Egi.
Yep.
So there is no total records and it's next page through. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, it's there's a different way to implement pagination. But in Kontenbase, we are provide some API. Actually, it's a query in the endpoint itself. You can see there's a dollar limit and skip. Usually, we want to fetch the by batching the pagination itself. So you can, there's a page 1 or page 2 or page 3 with some limitation of the count of the data that the containers provide. And you can implement in front end and try to fetch how many posts you can get from the page 1. So I think the pagination concept that can we test in Kontenbase is by using this kind of query. You can use dollar limit or dollar skip. Yes. And
Yeah,
also you okay.
yeah, sorry. So let's say like if you want to build a pagination down there, like with buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it would be nice if you could just have in your API kind of a radio button where just I can just switch it on so that I get paginated responses. So at this point in time, the pagination is just like, let's say, Postman, very similar to Postman, where I can just skip some records and get some records, let's say 5 with a limit. But if you implement it in a real, let's say in a table, a paginated table with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons down there, it would be difficult. So this would be a nice addition, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Because I usually try to implement that kind of functionality. For example, in here, let's see. Like if you want to have the pagination with the numbers, you need to know what's the max and whether not this one. 40 blocks.
Yeah, you have count records, but if you can make it more easy. Yeah.
Well, you can hack around, but obviously it will be better to have content-based feature by default to support that, right? So this is the product. So if you need this, right? So you need to have the total record, and then you need to make sure that you can, whether you can go to the previous page or you can go to the next page. For example, if you are in the last page, then you cannot go to the next one, right? So that will be a nice addition. Yeah. In order to.
Well, we can also use the count records API to the additional the feature. So we can.
It's a hacky way, right?
Yeah, technically.
Hacky way.
Also,
well, you can have the count. But it will be nice to just one request, right?
Yeah.
Also,
totally.
Can you please you select a field from here in the select?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you just select, let's say, title?
Yeah.
Title.
And then send a request. I think there's a bug like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Select must be an array. Why is this?
If you select
Oh.
multiple, then it works.
Oh, I see. Can you select multiple?
Yeah,
entry?
basically you need to have multiple selection, right? But you
Oh,
cannot
right,
do
right.
one. Yeah, this is a bug.
Yeah, yeah.
This is truly bug.
Maybe there's a bug in the dashboard.
Yeah,
Can you copy that endpoint,
yeah.
Mr.
Although
Haidar?
if you
And can you try to remove the square bracket of
square bracket,
is
just
zero?
select title, just single. No, it
It's
doesn't work.
still. Oh, it doesn't work. Right.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I get it.
this is truly bug. Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we need this to be resolved soon. Okay,
Okay.
nice.
Yes, yes.
So
Let's
we
sketch.
found about, okay, so for the pagination should be implemented soon. For the bug should be resolved as well. Okay, nice. Thank you, Arsalan. It would be great to see the relation between surface in a graph or diagram view. Yeah, but maybe I don't know. Okay, how about the roadmap to see the surface and graph in diagram view? In case you have a lot of surfaces, this is only one. Like for the other projects, we already have like 10 or 20 projects, but we don't know the relation between those surfaces, right?
Right.
I think if you have experience using Prisma, there's like a Prisma JS graph diagram that can visualize the connection, but I don't remember yet. Like you can visualize the connection between the tables or the surfaces. Yeah,
between surfaces, yes.
Yeah, in case
it will be nice additional to our dashboard.
So you can visualize everything. Yeah, this is nice, a very nice suggestion.
Yeah, we can try to implement it in the future.
Because I even like when I saw the other solution, they don't even have this kind of thing, like to see it in the graph and diagram view. It's quite rare, but I don't know, because usually you have this kind of UML diagram style of showing the relation between the tables, right? Or maybe like just a graph. Still quite rare though, to be honest, in my experience. But let's try to make it work someday for this Kontenbase.
Yeah, it can be a great addition, but make a graph. Don't make UMLs. UMLs are very technical. Like if this is a no-code solution, then a graph would be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a graph. Yeah. I remember I had that experience somewhere to have a graph view, but I don't remember yet. Okay, nice. Thank you again, Arsalan. So you have a lot of questions here. I like you have actual fields in post and put. It will be great if I just paste the ID input and fills out the data. It will be easy to edit. Yeah. So currently, in order to put or patch, right? So you need to have it manually like this, right? So because there is no selection here, right? So you have to type it manually or copy paste, right? The ID like this.
The ID like this.
And then it's not populated. So in case you want to know what's behind this post object, you have to get back to this one. Basically, this is the try API concern. Although that in the front end, you always able to make this work like what you wish, right? But yeah, it would be nice addition if someday the dashboard can support this, like the select drop down, but maybe like paginated as well, because if you have like more than 100 or 200 posts or items, we solve, right? So
actually we are discussing about the revamp dashboard, right? Mas Haidar. So it will be great. We can revamp the dashboard with this classic one, with the modern one, and the more friendly and the more advanced, like this try service feature itself, because it's very basic and very simple that can cover most of the advanced cases. So yes, this is a really great addition to our dashboard.
Usually you can still implement this in your own front end, but not in this dashboard. Yeah, but it will be nice, obviously. So because currently, if you try to patch but you don't have any field, then it will do nothing. Or let's see, admin, yeah, it will do nothing, right? Should be do nothing, and should be
Yes, right.
removing
Right.
anything, right?
Actually, it will send empty body because there's
Oh, yeah,
nothing
yeah.
to update, to patch.
Yeah, and thankfully there's no bug that it will replace everything with empty.
Yeah,
But what happened if you really need empty? If you
empty
pass the like
space.
empty space, and it's a
Right.
big gun, right? Yeah, so
It's
big gun.
gone. Yeah,
Check the production. Yeah, it's a big gun. Although
it's
that you
gone.
still have the ID, so you can still go to this. Although it's blank, right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's great.
Right. Nice. Okay, yeah, that would be nice. But maybe like what Eggy said, maybe it will be in the new dashboard interface, right? Not this one.
Yeah.
Because this is quite complex. If you think about the filtering, maybe you don't need only need the automatic field inputs, but also like the filtering and the searching for the items or
Right.
the inside this one, right? Yeah.
I have used other low-code tools. None of them like give this functionality. This functionality that you have, you literally have those fields right there. Like just imagine going to Postman and adding the JSON like ID and then ID title, but you have those fields right there. So it's kind of a great UI at this point in time.
Yeah.
But you can enhance it more. Like you can think it on your end better than me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, temporary solution, it will be like when you put the ID, then it will try to fetch what's actually behind this object, right? Then it will pop up.
Right.
Yeah, temporary solution, but maybe like it's something better. Okay, nice. Thank you again, Arsalan. Arnold Supriyadi. It's like similar headless CMS, right? And it's possible when we develop for Microsoft India.
For Microsoft India.
It's like similar headless CMS, right? Maybe you can elaborate further what similar headless CMS, right? Obviously, yeah, Kontenbase can be considered as a headless CMS. If you try to search for headless CMS, there are a lot, and you can go to the Jamstack.org, or actually my favorite will be Pajama's headless CMS comparison. Okay. Here, you can see there are a lot of headless CMS like Strapi, Ghost itself is, although it's blocked, but headless CMS. There are tons of those, right? Even what we mentioned, like Firebase, it's not being listed in here because maybe Firebase is considered not as a headless CMS, but rather than a whole suite of backend platform.
Right.
Yeah, and in this one, at the headless CMS, usually headless CMS has a focus of creating and managing content instead of just managing the data. But in our case, currently, at the moment, obviously, it's still focusing on the data rather than managing content, or maybe like editing content for the non-developers. If it will be a headless CMS, actually, we have discussed this before internally. If we want to make this as a headless CMS, then we need to have the editor that is friendly for non-developers. Currently, because even like when you want to edit, or maybe like you want to do something, you need to understand what get and post, patch, and delete means, right? For the not technical team members, it will be confusing, right? So that's why this is morely focused for the developers. And because what Ega, the founder of Kontenbase, directed in the beginning is that if you see it this way, you can see it similar like API documentation that is usually being used in a lot of API documentation, like for example, like Stripe API. I'm not sure yet though, but let's see. Like, do you have like a tribe playground or something here? Like this, like the vision will be like combined, but when you are thinking about headless CMS, there should be another UI for non-developers to use if we are talking about headless CMS. Yeah.
Actually, we are get inspired by Swagger,
Swagger,
Mr. Haider, because our director Ega told us that Kontenbase need become like a documentation of bunch of APIs that we have created. That's right. So in the current UI, we create as simple as possible that inspired by Swagger. So what you see in our current dashboard, it's like, yeah, Swagger mostly.
The rest is what is it, like the Swagger generated documentation that you have is similar like this?
Yeah.
Kind of hard to find the example though.
Right. You can try the editor, the Swagger UI, that or maybe you can see editor.
Oh, this one, Pet Store.
Yeah.
I used to play with this Pet Store Swagger. Yeah, pretty similar with this one, right? Yeah, although this is like a drop down to below, right? Not to the right. Yeah, it's basically very similar. Like you want to get all pets. What? Cannot get all pets. No.
Find
pet, but
yeah, it's also only.
Yeah, but basically it's this. There's even this example here, the example value, although that it's not yet in here, right? Yeah. This is the example successful operation. Okay, but basically this got similar, just a different kind of UI. Is it possible when we develop for Microsoft in the year? Maybe you want to, Arnold, maybe you want to elaborate further. What do you mean by when we develop for Microsoft in the year? Arnold is still in here, okay. When we develop for Microsoft is in the year.
Maybe he thought that we gonna deploy about the function that can be created as a microservice. Oh, he's still driving, so he can really communicate with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, still driving. Okay. So basically, Kontenbase has a plan to support functions which can be considered as a microservice in a way, right?
Right.
Maybe like you want to connect different content-based projects and different content-based services, even like with different organizations, then you can call it microservices as well. Okay. But but it backs to depends on what you want to achieve with your microservices, because a lot of organizations have different ways of managing their own microservices.
That's right.
Okay, so that's all for from the Slido. Okay, we can also check the Zoom chat. So Arpit, although that he's already leaving the event, but he said I'm Arpit from India, come across Kontenbase about 2 months ago and was amazed to see how you people are building a software like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was like almost 1 year of work, right? Yeah.
Right.
And Arsalan said that, hey, I was playing with the post service. I don't see any pagination. Yeah, we already covered that before. The paginate option is not really complete yet, so we need to hack away in order to implement a certain experience in the front end. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. It would be nice if we could open the API pen in multiple tabs. Yeah, similar to Postman, right? Or like.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier internally.
Yeah.
Well, the UI is quite simple. We understand that, so it's hard to do some advanced stuff, right? Currently in the current state of the UI dashboard. So it will be nice if we can also implement that.
Even like this one, Hopscotch is like a competitor to Postman. They don't have
multiple tabs.
They don't have multiple tabs. But this is much faster than using Postman. So the consequence the consequence will be the engineering trade-off if you are doing how Postman works in order to manage the tabs and save everything and then still track what happens. Like this, you need to page in multiple tabs. Yeah, it will be nice. And it will be even nicer if you have like the collection, like maybe you try to create a post here. This is because this is still very simple, right? So you have
Right, right.
this first post, okay, and then by somebody, but maybe you want to save this body data, okay, like similar how Postman works, right? You can save
Right,
that request into a single request. Basically, this is like not like a file, but basically this is a single request that you can save and you can organize, and then you can have multiple of them. Then in case you want to like generate all of them, you want to run all of them, you can also have the runner, right? Because Postman already have runner, but that will be like Postman scale of complexity, right?
It will be
Maybe we need
hard
more
to
funding,
complete.
or maybe need more developers to handle this.
That maybe help more finding will.
Because if you are doing the multiple tabs, we still need to have a way how to manage the tabs, right? Or maybe like
Right.
maybe in the beginning it's just tabs,
No,
single tab.
like
Huh?
it won't just not just for the API thing, but let's say like I want to change the data view. So I have the data view in one tab,
Yeah,
one service in one,
yeah,
other
yeah. At
service
least
in
at
Yeah,
least
yeah.
this one, right? So you want to
Oh,
get and then post at the same time, or maybe like you want to switch back and forth. Yeah,
yeah, between the data and the
yeah,
APIs.
yeah. Because what's happening right now is that when you want to patch, for example, then you need to get or get. You don't even like remember what are the IDs, right? So you need to
yeah.
click the ID, one of them, okay, and then you want to patch, okay, and then if somehow you lost the clipboard, then you want to go back like in here, you need to send again,
Yes.
and then you need to scroll down again, right?
That's quite
Even though
hard
that you can still,
experience though.
yeah, you can still like search, but yeah, but that will be like creating a new interface, right? An whole overhaul, because
And layout overall, to be exact,
yeah,
I think so. We
because
we can do that.
Yeah,
We can do that.
it will change the whole layout system that is actually already implemented in here. Actually, I already suggested that if you want to have the very flexible composition of the layout, like you have tabs and you have the like the collections, the current
Right.
layout system is quite difficult to manage, actually, to be honest, in the background. Yeah,
We need to come up with new layouting
Yeah.
system in the dashboards.
yeah, but the feedback is being considered, for the
Yeah.
future releases. Okay, nice.
Or maybe, Mr. Haidar, can you show us about the roadmap? So,
Oh yeah, roadmap.
so
So currently, actually, the roadmap is just what is it? Just configured to be public just recently. So maybe
Yeah.
we need to have to clean this up
clean
after.
yeah.
Okay. So basically, this is the roadmap for Q2 2022. So we already have the JavaScript SDK, but maybe like some functionality that we already mentioned and encounter, like we don't have the server-side or custom parameters in the SDK. Maybe we need to cover that as well, because a lot of frameworks need to have that in server-side, not only in the client-side. JavaScript SDK already done, but some functionality I also had that problems with the server-side issues, for example. And then there are some other things that will need to be done based on requests, like login with third-party OAuth, like login with Google, login with GitHub, login with Twitter. Data export, we currently, if you put all of your data in here, we cannot export it easily. We can still get the data, but not export yet. So we're going to also prioritize that, copy service on the project, and so on. Basically, there are a lot of things going on in the roadmap, and then we'll be considering to put all of the feedback, the new ones, in here, and maybe we let the community to decide based on their urgency, or maybe like they see this is a very critical moment. For example, like even field validation, I felt this really critical, because currently if you have the title, maybe I don't want to I don't want people to put only numbers in here.
Oh,
So I
right,
need
right,
to
right.
validate this, right? Currently, we can still do this. So the title is a number. So what happens with the production app is that you have the numbers. Well, we can always do the client-side validation, okay?
Right.
But maybe like somebody is using the API directly without using our front-end application. So that's why it will show like this, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, like a required fields,
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah,
can be null or
yeah,
else. Yeah, that's we
yeah.
think
Will
about
be
that
in the
kind of
roadmap in
field
the field
validations.
validation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if I want to vote this, like I will vote this like 10 times because yeah,
We
encountered
will
this.
make it happen
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Just thing is that this is still an alpha. A lot of things need to be done.
Right, right.
Okay. Prepare multiple times. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I'll not say that. Thanks, dude, for explaining. Okay. So as expected, I already expect the here in the schedule. Okay. We had like 1 hour 30 minutes. We already more than 1 hour 30 minutes. Yeah.
6
Basically, we are
minutes.
in the extended period. So nice nice discussion about all of this. Anyway,
Good.
thank
Thank you, thank you.
thank you. Even though that this is actually a lot less than the previous event that was using only Indonesian, but this is like,
Right.
I don't know, more in-depth discussion, I guess.
Yeah. Obviously, I really that this kind of event is really that discussion like before. I think we really glad we held this event.
All right. So that's it. So we have all the questions answered. We already archived. We already accepted, answered the questions on Slido as well. And in case, we're still waiting if you have any more questions. If not, we are going to close the event right away. So in case you have some more questions after the event or maybe later on, you can always check out on Discord. Oh yeah, for this event, because it's being recorded, we are also going to publish this on YouTube. Okay, but will be announced whether in Duma via email or this Discord. Okay, so in case you have like general questions or maybe like specific questions like getting started SDK, and maybe we will have like UI issues in here, like for the interface. Yeah. In case of integration, you can always ask in here. In case of the next community events, we are going to announce this in here. So it will be either to have this live event, we can have direct discussion like this, or maybe like it will be like stream on YouTube, but we are going to have a talk show. You can still have the chat on YouTube chat box. Okay, or maybe like we have a pre-recorded event and you can watch it on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps and answer all of your questions. Okay, thank you for coming for this Kontenbase live event, the first Kontenbase live event in English. Okay.
That's
but
right.
Oh yeah, I forgot. The best participants will be basically what remainings. Yeah, maybe like so let me type here just to remember.
Just type it, Mr. Hyder.
Also, Arsalan already leaving, but basically I will type this. No.
It's already leaving.
Yeah, because it's almost midnight basically. who's the other? Okay, anyway.
Arsalan.
Yeah, we have the first
Arnold.
participant, which is Arsalan and Arnold.
All right.
Yeah, asked some great questions, especially Arsalan. So yeah, because it's already leaving, it's okay. We are going to contact them through Discord for redeeming the promo code, the promo credit balance.
Promo
Okay.
credit balance. Right.
Nice. We are closing in the event. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.